Hello, everyone, and welcome to Honor Thy Podcast. This is the DC TV Arrowverse podcast we do here every single week where we discuss everything DC TV/Arrowverse. And this is the 8th episode of the show. And we've got we haven't got a lot of news, to be perfectly honest.
Very little news.
We've got the review of the excellent show known as Supergirl, and we've got the amazing review of The Flash Season 4. This is going to be a good one.
Oh, God.
Let's delve straight in. So Danielle Nicolette, who is the actress who plays Cecile Horton on The Flash, has been promoted to a series regular for season 5.
Why is Captain Singh not series regular then?
Oh, I just actually want to mention this as a digression. You know the actor who plays Captain Singh, right? He's in like loads of stuff.
Yeah, he was in Arrow episode.
Yeah, he's in Arrow.
He's in season 1. He plays.
Yeah,
yeah, I know that.
He plays a random thug. I didn't even know, because I'm obviously rewatching Arrow, and I saw it and I was like, is that the guy? And I looked it up on IMDb and it was the same guy. I was like, okay. Anyway, carry on.
I don't know. I was shocked by this, but at the same time, when I saw what they were doing with the character in season 4, and like what they're hinting at with season 5 with her and the baby, it does make sense to bring her on as a series regular, because by then the baby will have been born, so... Actually, the baby has already been born.
The baby is born, mate.
Oh my God!
Do you not remember that little scene? Don't remember that?
No, I don't remember it.
It brought Wally off the wave, right?
Completely non-essential scene that never ever had any meaning. No. All right. I was wrong on that regard. But yeah, basically, because they're obviously gonna have the baby next season, makes sense to bring her on as a series regular. I'm a bit worried though, because I feel like the Flash is now going to have too many characters on screen. I mean, this last season already suffered with having too many characters, I think. So I don't know. I mean, all happy for her, because I don't mind her character and I don't mind the actress. It's just I just feel like they're crowding up the cast a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy because I really like Danielle Nicolette. I think she's really awesome, and I really like Cecile. I remember when they first introduced Cecile in season 3. Like, I think it was season 3.
Season 2.
And oh, okay. But they were trying to do like the love interest in season 3 thing, weren't they? With Joe, and I was like, I was like, I don't really know if any, because it's just like taking away screen time from like other important scenes that should have more screen time. But it's actually a pretty good romance. I actually buy it. Like, it's really nice, and it was kind of like just giving Joe and Cecile kind of like just something to do, I suppose. And this baby has obviously brought them closer together. I can't help but feel a wedding's on the horizon.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know when that would be. I have a feeling that maybe Joe might propose in either the crossover or in the mid-season finale, and then the finale will be the ceremony. That's kind of where I see that going. But I mean, I'm happy that it's series regular. I mean, when I first read the headline, I kind of thought, because my mind instantly jumped to the baby, and I just thought, oh, another kid on these shows, for God's sake. But it's a baby, so it can't talk yet. So we're not going to get any Ruby situations or William situations going on here. But yeah, I'm interested to see where they take her character, because I kind of thought her perfect plot function was kind of in season 4. Like, she was actually really good in season 4, and like actually what she got to do, especially in the finale, I thought she was really well implemented.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do with the character next season, especially if she's going to have to be looking after this child. So I don't know, but I'm happy. I'm glad that she's in the show more, because I like her. She's really good. Just waiting for Ralph to get that same treatment now.
Yeah.
So, next bit of news. This isn't really news, but there's a casting video that's gone out for the character known as Konomi Rhodes. Now, we spoke about this last week, about who this Konomi Rhodes could be. But with this new casting video and with this new kind of information that's kind of been leaked and rumored, we kind of have speculation about who this character could actually be. There's like another option out there. Now, we said last week it could be either one of the Longbow Hunters, could be Cheshire, or it could be Lady Shiva. But could it be Emiko Queen or a new Speedy? This is kind of like the new thing that's kind of gone around. Now, this actress was called Izzy Allen, and she is she's on the younger side. So this kind of makes me think they're obviously going for like a younger actress, which kind of takes it away from Lady Shiva, I think, definitely. Yeah. And also the Longbow Hunters. I think Cheshire is still a very likely option, especially because, like I said last week, like Roy Harper's coming back. So you can tie that in. But one thing I noticed is when you watch the video, one of the first things she does is a bow and arrow pose.
Yeah, I think it's definitely her either being a Miko Queen or however you say it. Is it a Miko Queen? How you say that, or is
A
it
Miko Queen.
a Miko? Yeah.
I see. I don't think they'll do a Miko Queen. I mean, they can still call her a Miko Queen, or well, probably not a Miko Queen.
I think she might be like a, I think maybe like a vigilante. I'm not sure if they'll link her to Oliver, but I think maybe she'll just be like another vigilante who's on the street. Like similar to Wild Dog, but in the way that like it's these new wave of vigilantes that are inspired because the Green Arrow outed himself, kind of like that situation. Cool. So maybe that like inspires new vigilantes in Star City. I think maybe it could be something along those lines with what they're gonna do.
Yeah, because I can't see them doing a Miko Queen or like the direct. They can't do the direct adaptation from the comics because that'd be weird. Because it's literally, if you don't know, the character of a Miko Queen is the daughter of Robert Queen and Shadow, which makes her Oliver Queen's half sister. So that just doesn't work because Robert, as far as we know, never met Shadow. Yeah. And if he did kind of, do some things with her, kind of make him a nonce. So, so I don't think Arrow really wants to go down that route. I mean, they could link her to Shadow. That is possible. And that perhaps, I don't know, maybe Shadow had a daughter before she got to the island, like a really young baby, and then because obviously Shadow was taken to the island by fires. So maybe that happened, and then she kind of found out that Oliver was kind of responsible for Shadow's death, and now she's coming. I don't know. They could link it to Shadow in some way, or like you say, this could be just a random vigilante on the street, or it might not be any of them.
Yeah,
we really don't know at this point.
I think at this point it's probably the most interesting characters to talk about, only because I think it's a bit more open as to who she is in terms of like casting calls for Arrow season 7. Because obviously with one of them we already know pretty much at this point that it'll be Blue Beetle. But the other ones, I don't think there's much like anticipation towards them. But I think this is the one that's definitely the most intriguing, just because I think there are multiple ways they can go with who they decide they want the character to be. Because I imagine they would probably announce who she is by Comic-Con, I'd say, because they would have to by then, probably to generate a bit of buzz. But I think regardless of whoever she's going to be, I definitely think she will have she'll definitely be out at night, just being a vigilante. Definitely, because like you said in the audition tape, the fact that she does like the bow pose, I think they she'll definitely be a vigilante one way or another. I think.
Yeah, I mean these scenes that they kind of have the actors do in these casting calls, they're not just random. They are different to what the scene will ultimately be, but they are very much focused. Like on the Blue Beetle one, where we saw him kind of having that, because I believe they said, didn't they, that conversation was with Curtis.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of real stuff that you can take into the show. So this character is clearly a vigilante of some kind. But that excites me. I mean, they are very quick to replace Thea, I've noticed.
Yeah, very quick.
But I guess a spot on the show is open, even though the show's got way too many characters. I mean, in terms of the character potentially being Speedy, which is rumored, I mean, Emiko Queen is kind of like the new Speedy in the Green Arrow comics right now. Because obviously there is actually Roy Harper was originally Speedy, but obviously that's not going to happen. Now Thea, who became Speedy on the show, Thea's not actually a character from the comics. There is a character in the comics called Mia, who is Speedy, who took it up after Roy, but I'm pretty sure Mia is Thea on the show. Yeah, because her name was Mia Dearden, and Thea's middle name is Dearden. So Thea Dearden, Mia Dearden, yeah. So I don't think it'll be that. But I'm actually really excited about this casting. I think this looks really cool. And adding another bow wielding vigilante is definitely what I'm about. So I'll take that. Yeah. As an archer myself, I always appreciate.
You're not an archer. You're.
I am an archer.
You're not though.
How
are you an archer? You're not an archer until you do it as a professional job. So now.
Well, I do it and I'm good at it. So.
No.
Look, all I'm saying is, if I busted into your window at night and I had a arrow aimed at your heart, you'd be fucking petrified.
Not really, because in martial arts you'll learn how to have quick reactions. So now.
Yeah, but you weren't left on an island for 5 years, were you?
Neither are you.
You don't know that. So, moving on. Come on, why are we messing around? We've got to talk about Supergirl.
Yeah, but one problem. I haven't
Yeah,
watched
we
this
have got a
episode.
problem there. Yeah.
I haven't watched this episode because, quite simply put, I really have lost interest in Supergirl. Like,
Now, normally I would be annoyed at this action. However, I completely understand. It's really bad. Now, you'll notice this in the DC TV community if you watch quite a lot of YouTubers in this field. Everyone, except Ben, has stopped reviewing this show. Everyone has stopped making videos on it, except Ben, because he has that audience, so that's fine. But everyone else has stopped. The only Supergirl videos I've made recently have been stuff about Season 4. I'm not even talking about Season 3. I mean, I'll circle back around for the finale, but it's just... Oh, it's so uninteresting. Now, I have seen it, so I'll demonstrate my brief thoughts. The episode was dumb, it was stupid, it was just an awful, awful follow-up to the last episode, which was also pretty terrible. I really thought we were getting back on track here. Like, after episode 18, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. 19 was great, well, for the most part. 20 was great. 20 was, in my opinion, the best episode of the season. And then 21 was the worst episode of the season. And now 22 is almost just as bad. So at the end of the last episode, well, not the end, actually, it was at the start of the last episode, we saw Rain get separated from Sam, so Rain's gone. But then we have Selena, her name is Selena, that is official. She gets together the other, I think, what were they called? They were called like the witches of something or other.
yeah.
Anyway, she gets the band back together, and they go and make themselves a Rain, and it's just so dumb. I mean, they reignite the fortress of whatever it's called. This is how uninteresting. So they bring that black spiky thing back up, and in the little cauldron they have all the ingredients to make themselves a Rain, to make it rain, as it were.
Oh
and
my God.
Thomas Coville's knocking around. And basically they think, okay, we can make ourselves another Rain, but to do that, we're going to have to get the blood of Purity and Pestilence, because we want this one to be OP like the last one. So they go and storm the DEO, and this is where Wynn gets to show off his amazing new technology. Have you seen this?
No.
So Wynn has managed to create himself a belt which gives him a shield.
Okay.
When he taps his belt buckle, his body glows blue. And it's a shield. And this drives Wynn down this amazing storyline where he gives another one of these belts to another member of the DEO. And this random DEO member, who I believe we've never seen before, apparently has some beef with Wynn. And so when Wynn sees this, like, new technology's made, he's absolutely buzzing. He goes over to him and he's like, oh, punch me. Right? So he punches him and obviously it doesn't work. So then anyway, Wynn gives him this belt. And at the end, this random DEO agent gets given the blood to go and run with it, to run away from these witches, and then they come face to face with him. So he like throws the blood like towards Kara, because they come back to Earth, by the way. So Kara catches it, but as she catches it, this guy is about to get like burned down by the eye lasers, by the eye, laser vision, and Wynn's like, dude, your belt, and he pushes it, but it's too late, and he dies, and now Wynn feels guilty.
Oh my God.
Because he feels like he killed this man. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Kara and Mon-El get stranded on Argo for a bit, and then they get back with Allura, so it's all good. Don't need to worry about that. And that's it, really.
Well, Thomas Coville dies.
Marin nearly dies, and then he doesn't.
But what do you mean he nearly dies and he doesn't?
Well, because they do that thing that they were talking about last episode, him and John, they need to do that memory.
Yeah.
So they start doing it, and so the way I take that as is that after that happens fully, he dies. And he's about to do it, but then this is when these witches storm the DEO, so they have to oh well, screw that then. And so Marin's not dead, but he nearly did. So yeah. That's Supergirl.
What about Thomas Coville? You told me he was dead.
He dies. Moving on.
What about Rain? Does Rain get put back into Samantha?
No, she doesn't. They're separate entities.
Well, how are they making Rain again?
I don't know, mate.
How was Rain made in the beginning? Was the baby born evil? Was she given a curse?
I don't know.
Ben, please explain this.
The show doesn't explain it. It probably does explain it. I just wasn't paying attention.
Oh my god.
I mean, the way I understand it is they have this massive cauldron, right? I mean, these are real witches when they've got a cauldron. So you've got this huge cauldron, and they have just like a body inside of it. And when I first saw that, I thought, okay, we're gonna get comic book accurate Rain. That's what I thought. I thought this was gonna be like comic book looking Rain, like a proper monster looking thing. But then, so yeah, they're gonna get the blood because they need the blood from the DEO from Purity and Pestilence to like pour it into the cauldron. So they get that and they make it. And then Rain comes out, but it's still owed at Annabelle. But then it's not Samantha.
What? What is it?
So they basically cloned Sam. Basically. But then I don't understand, because when Rain was launched from Krypton, what did she look like then? Because these are Kryptonians, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, like, did she look like Sam, or was Sam a body they inhibited? Because Purity and Pestilence were bodies they inhibited, as far as I understand it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's just move on. Fuck Supergirl, it was bad.
Next episode's the finale. We'll talk about it later. We'll have to do our Supergirl, like, I don't know how we're going to do Supergirl next week. I don't know if we're going to do just the whole season review or if we'll do, like, the finale. Might end up doing both.
We'll just do both, get over and done with.
Yeah, and then we can move on. We can leave the season behind. And then we're stuck for content. But hey, right, Flash, Season 4, review. Full season review. Let's go. Okay, we'll start off by discussing our favourite episodes of the season.
Oh, God. There wasn't really that many for me to choose from, because I'm more strict on this than Declan. Declan's like giving out free cards for all episodes that are a pass. For me,
you get one. Everyone gets one.
Exactly. For me, you got to be at the top game to get a great episode. So I only got 3 for this season, and they are episode 7, which was the DeVoe origin story episode, I would say. We learnt more about DeVoe and his backstory. That it was easily one of the best episodes because you got to focus on DeVoe. Neil Sandilands was amazing. Just the fact they focused on DeVoe was really good, and I liked how he was manipulating present day events to make Barry, look a bit of a freak for just constantly like following him and harassing him. I thought that was like really cool. I just really enjoyed that episode. It's just a shame that they couldn't do DeVoe like that for the rest of the fucking season. But that is a shame. And then we got episode 15, which I think is the best episode of the season. Definitely. Even though it's complete and utter filler, it's one of those filler episodes that's actually still good. Because it's, well written, it's well acted. It was really good. It was nice to see Jay Garrick and Jesse Quick back. Because I do like them as characters. So it was cool to see them. Just using the whole Flash time thing was really cool as well. And then we got episode 18, which is where the boy Ralph, quote unquote, dies, except he doesn't. That was a pretty good episode as well. The one thing I will notice about all of these is that my favourite episodes have by far been the ones that don't have anywhere near as much humour in them, which is probably something I'll talk to you later when I get to like the things I didn't like about the season. But like, I think definitely the episodes that had very little humour in, or humour that actually was written okay, were by far the better episodes of the season. So you'll probably notice that when we get to the bad episodes, but they were like the only 3 that I would really consider great. If I had to like shout out like an episode that just missed it, it'd probably be 4. I think that's a good episode, but I think the comedy sometimes lets it down, especially that fucking cigar scene in slow-mo. That is some of the most cringiest humour I've seen on The Flash. But they're really my only great episodes of this season. Like, I really just don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about this season. Like, it's just...
Well, strap yourself in, because we've still got some time to go yet.
Oh, God. But they're the ones I liked.
Personally, I really liked 4. I think I am definitely the minority when I say how much I did quite enjoy 4. I think that... Tom Cavanaugh directed it. It wasn't as good as the episode Tom Cavanaugh directed last season.
No.
I think the episode Tom Cavanaugh directed last season was one of the best of season 3. It was the Once and Future Flash, where Barry went to the future to find himself. That was a great episode. This wasn't quite as good as that, but it did get us the introduction of Ralph Dibny, who I do really love. We'll get on to Ralph in a bit. But I quite enjoyed 4 personally. 7 was great. 7 is one of the best of the season. DeVoe's kind of origin was really cool. Just seeing him, I mean, this was DeVoe in his prime. Like, this was DeVoe at the best. This was like the best DeVoe. And this was probably the best episode with DeVoe in it. Like, he was absolutely excellent in this, just because it's Neil.
Yeah.
And episode 9, kind of a similar thing. Episode 9 was also quite good, mid-season finale. And then, yeah, like you say, 15, absolute filler, but a great episode nonetheless. I mean, it was kind of annoying because Barry could have just fixed it instantly by going back in time, but he can't do that anymore, so he won't. Even though I'm sure going back like 2 seconds won't affect that much in the timeline. But whatever, I guess you have to overlook that. It was nice having Jay back, though. I love Jay. Hopefully we'll see him next season with this new recruit of his. I'm still waiting on that. I want to spend more time on Earth 3. I think Earth 3 looks awesome. It's just bright and it's colourful and it's fun. Let's go there. Yeah, episode 18, one of the darker episodes of the season. Probably one of the better ones though. I was with Ralph's death, and there was some really cool stuff there. Are you yawning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And then I also put down the finale. Because I really liked the finale, but I went in with the lowest expectations as possible. So
exactly.
yeah.
So when you rewatch it, you'll see how not.
It may change, but as of right now, looking back on it, I did enjoy the finale quite a bit.
Should have rewatched it.
Right, worst episodes. Shoot. I'll let you go because I know you got a long list.
I got so many more than Declan. Episode 1, really disappointing premiere. Probably the worst premiere in the Flash ever.
Yeah, I've got a point about like basically the premiere as a whole, so we can talk about that separately.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. Episode 2, didn't like because it was basically just an excuse to them have all these jokes about, oh, look what we put in Barry's suit. It's not funny. I just found it really stupid. They rendered yeah, well, it was so banter. The episode could fuck off. They sidelined Wally, which I didn't like. My boy Wally deserves better than that. Episode 3, simply because I found Becky Sharp one of the most annoying villains ever. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand the actress's voice. I just didn't like it. The episode in itself I didn't like. It was too slapstick. Episode 5, one of the worst episodes of the season. Not just because it has Felicity in it, but because of the fact that it's just shit. Like, it focuses on this hashtag feminism BS, and it's just so awful. The only good part of the whole episode is seeing drunk Barry. That is literally it, but that doesn't save the episode. It's it's awful. It's got Aminette Black in it. She's awful. Katie Sackhoff's a good actress, but Aminette Black's shit. She can't speak English. Episode 6, meandering, went nowhere. Had a premise with the Council Wells, dragged it out for the whole episode, and then it's like, oh, his name's DeVoe. Let's go to his house. That's literally all the figure out at the end of the episode with all that fucking council, and they only had 3 people, which is bullshit as well. Episode 10, really shit. This was one that I didn't actually mind when I first watched it, but then when you had the court episode of Arrow for season 6, it made me realise how bad this episode is. Just in terms of the court case, how it was written, it was nowhere near as tense as it should have been. It just felt it was very sloppily executed. The only scenes I liked were was that one with Marlene and Iris. That's it. Episode 14, the one with fucking Jesse. No, not Jesse Bowen. What's her name?
Izzy Bowen.
Izzy Bowen. Her really annoying character. They just portrayed her as like this stereotypical like Texas hillbilly country singer. Just didn't like it. Which is just pretty shit. Episode 16, Run Iris Run. Shit episode. They made Iris a speed, so that's all you need to know. It's got the amazing Money guy in it. You know, that amazing villain.
Money!
Oh, God. I mean, the fact that Iris switches DNA with Barry, yet that causes her light to change when she runs, makes no sense. That's all you need to know about the episode. Episode 17.
I keep the speed though, it's fine.
Oh my god. Episode 17.
Really though, if you want to keep it, it's fine.
No. Episode 17. But the Kevin James episode. I don't like putting this episode on here because I love Kevin James. He's a nice guy. And I don't think this episode was his fault. I think this is primarily the writing. The writing is shit.
Kevin Smith.
Exactly. Just
you said Kevin James.
Oh my god.
Kevin James. That's so funny. It took me a while to respond to that because I couldn't stop laughing. Kevin James.
Just fucking rolling around in his little motor scooter from Mall Cop.
Oh, please, Flash writers. Get us an episode directed by Kevin James, and have more cop cameo.
Can you get Adam Sandler in as well?
Yes, get Rob Schneider, get the crew, just get them all in. Oh, that's what we need for season 5.
Alright. I need to recover now. Alright, not Kevin James. not Kevin James, okay? Kevin Smith. Alright, the real Kevin, alright? Kevin Smith.
What are you on about, the real Kevin?
Because I got the wrong one. Kevin James doesn't direct comic book films.
Jesus Christ.
Alright, Kevin Smith episode. Should have been a lot better. I blame it because of the writing. I don't know why they don't just hire him to be the writer for the episode.
Why don't they just hire Kevin James? He's great at writing. I mean, if they want to implement more comedy into the season, which they clearly did, you got Kevin James. Perfect comedy writer right there.
That's probably why I thought of his name, because I thought how much shit comedy they've tried to do this season. I thought, well, who writes shit comedy? Oh yeah, Adam Sandler and Kevin James. But no, Kevin Smith episode should have been better. I never understand why Kevin Smith doesn't actually write for The Flash, because I mean, yeah, he directs, but at the end of the day, writing is clearly his strongest point. So I've never understood why they've never actually allowed him to write an episode. So yeah, but that episode was just awful. The only good part was the Jane Silent Bob cameo. That was literally it. Other than that, the episode was pretty whack. And then fucking 21 with Aminette Black again. Absolute garbage filler. It was almost the same as we had last season with season 3 when they had that stupid dumbass filler episode where Barry forgets everything. And then it's all like, oh, I remember everything. It's just, no. It's just shit. How many episodes did I list off there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The fact I listed 10 episodes and there was only 3 that I thought were great should give you my opinion on this season. I have nothing else to say other than bring Kevin James to the writing staff next season. Bring the whole gang. Kevin James, Adam Sandler.
He's the hero we need right now.
But yeah,
Anyway,
that's
I'll go with my worst episodes.
Oh, God.
Quite similar, but not as many. I just went with episode 5. Aminette Black was disgusting. Felicity, no. And, I mean, yeah, Drunk Barry was hilarious. Just chicken wings and all. I'm the Flash.
Hashtag
better than we're the
feminism.
Flash.
Hashtag feminism.
Hashtag put a female in Battlefield 5.
Oh my god.
Yeah, episode 5, not great. 14, despite the amazingly fleshed out love interest, it was, yeah, not great. I did actually quite like Izzy Bowen, to be honest. I actually thought she was alright.
No.
I think with a bit more development.
She was just a fucking stereotypical hillbilly Texan country singer. That's all she was. And then like they literally ripped off her powers from Silver Banshee on Supergirl, Black Canary and Black Siren off Arrow, and whatever her name is. I can't remember her name now. Purity from Supergirl as well. They literally ripped off her power. It was the exact same. She just fucking stands there as if she's like, look at me, and then sound waves come from it. I'm sorry, it's just shit. It's just shit. Shit episode. You're being too nice. Be a bit more critical, Declan.
Okay, well, we'll talk about episode 16 then. Episode 16, Run Iris Run. This was the episode we were all dreading. Iris became a speedster. I mean, made no sense. It was just, well, how they did it made sense, but it was just as a point of the season made no sense. It was just for all fans of Iris, which I mean, I like Iris a lot, but I really didn't need this. I mean, the character of Melting Pot confused me because after this episode, they said he was going to stick around on Team Flash, and yet he never showed up ever again. And apparently he was sticking around, and they mention him, but they never ever say that. They never actually say that they never show him again. So it's just like, okay. 17, yeah, again, Kevin James really messed this one up, didn't he? Kevin James.
Yeah, Kevin James. Yeah, Kevin James. Kevin James.
James.
Kevin James fucked this up. It wasn't Kevin Smith. It was Kevin James. We got the wrong
And then
one.
yeah, 21. 21 was just kind of a disaster. There were a couple of interesting, tiny little scenes, but other than that, pretty terrible. Also, yeah, I'll throw in 22. 22 was just kind of boring, given the fact it was the episode before the finale.
Yeah.
Pretty boring.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, actually, no. I've just literally looked on the Arrow Wikipedia page, and apparently, Melting Points, he's dead.
Well, that's never mentioned.
It just literally, I've seen it right at the very, very bottom. And it says, after DeVoe broke into Star Labs, he took Matthew's powers. Matthew died in the process. I don't remember seeing this on screen.
This is never brought up. Is this just one of those things that... This is even worse than Prometheus breaking out Black Siren, and they never mention it. At least they show it.
Apparently to this, it says, he appears in Lose Yourself as a corpse.
No, he doesn't.
Apparently he does. Yeah, he's even credited in the episode as a guest star.
I never remember seeing that character in that episode. He was only in episode 16. I mean, if someone wants to correct me with that, then go ahead, because I'm interested at this point. But as far as I remember, he was only ever in episode 16. And apparently he's dead now, so okay. Right.
God.
So, I guess, as I said earlier, we can talk about the premiere in detail. This premiere is just wasted opportunity.
Yep.
Again, similarly to what they did last season with Flashpoint, they wasted a great Flash storyline, being, Rebirth.
Yeah.
And they just did it in one episode. And what annoys me more is, and this is a big problem with the season, or at least half the season, is how they've treated Wally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, season 3 was like Wally's season. And then he transcended to be a great hero, and then, with his connection to Savitar and everything, and then bringing him into this season, he was like the main speedster while Barry was in the Speed Force. He was the main speedster, he was out there. And then we even get a great scene with the Samuroids where he goes out in the Flash costume. He actually goes out as the Flash, and it's really cool. And then they just completely scrap it because they bring Barry out again. It's really annoying because Wally is so great. And I mean, we've gone through this many times, but the fact that he actually was getting some spotlight here, was actually getting to be the main speedster, the main hero of Central City. He was actually the Flash for a bit. I think they could have done so much more than this. At least 3 episodes. At least.
Yeah, at least. They just did it just because, we need more of that drama. It's bullshit.
So that was really annoying. There's also I didn't like the fact that as well that while Wally was out, he had to have Cisco with him. I'm sure he can handle himself. I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah.
But so far, it still didn't really feel like Wally was the main hero. He needed someone else to help him.
Yeah.
Make sure he was getting in time. But yeah, that episode is just a waste opportunity. And then the fact that Barry comes out at the end to save Iris was no surprise whatsoever. So yeah, it's the exact same problem. It's the exact same problem as the Flashpoint episode, where they take a great storyline, a really expansive storyline, and just cram it into one episode, and resolve everything by the end. So kind of pointless.
Yeah, it's just bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Anyway, what about Barry overall this season?
Barry had a story?
No. I mean, Barry was supposed to be, kind of a completely different character this season, because he was really dark and mopey in season 3, which no one liked. And
Emo
then
Emo Barry.
Yeah, and then he came out of the Speed Force, and then for the first couple episodes, he was just being quite funny and quite silly, which was fine. But then I think it was episode 6 or episode 7, somewhere around there, he just went back to being Mopey Barry again, like instantly, for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like in episode 2, he was reenacting Tom Cruise from Risky Business, right? Which I still think might arguably be my favorite scene in the entire season, just because I love that film.
No, the best scene was the DeVoe one to continuous shot fight scene in the penultimate episode. That is the best scene.
Still like that all-time rock and roll, though.
No, I don't give a fuck. It's not as good.
Do you want to sing it?
No.
Okay. So Barry is just the same character he was back at the earlier points. So all of that character development and all of that anticipation completely wasted. Okay, what about Iris then? I want to see where you sort of stand with this and how you approach this.
I don't know.
How do I say this without triggering her diehard fans? Is there really a way I can do it without triggering them?
I'm gonna say no. So just go for it.
Right. The biggest problem with Iris is not Candice Patton. Okay, Candice Patton is a good actress,
Agreed. She's awesome.
but her writing has been awful. They have all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just made her the leader of Team Flash just because. They took away everything that was good about her character for the first 2 seasons, which was the fact that she was a journalist. She was like the people's side of what was going on in Central City. But they completely take that all away just because, some fangirls wanted Iris to be the team leader. It's just no. You don't give in to these people. You do what is logical for the story. And just this decision to have all this focus on her, it just felt so out of nowhere. Like, it was so horrible. Like, she was basically the main character. It literally felt like Arrow Season 4, but you just swap Felicity with Iris in terms of how important they are to the plot and how poorly they're written. Because it's so bad. Like, it's just stupid. And all this focus on her and just, like, the fact of how, no, Barry, we are the Flash, which has just become a meme in of itself. Like, I just don't like what they did with the character. She was easily my least favourite character of the whole season, behind Amunet Black. Like, I just couldn't stand her most of the time, just because the writing was so bad. And it's a shame, because you have Candice Patton, who, like we've already said, is a great actress, just having to spout out such awful dialogue. There's just so much wrong with her. I'm happy that hopefully they seem to be taking her back to more of a journalistic, path for season 5, which I hope they do, because I just don't think she belongs in Team Flash. Like, it doesn't suit her. It's too crowded as it is. Like, Caitlin had barely anything to do this season because Iris took up so much of the screen time, and I just feel like it really hurt some of the other characters because they chose to prioritize her so much to, like, a stupid amount.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin didn't really have a story this season, and neither did Cisco.
No.
Like, Cisco had absolutely nothing, which is just...
Apart from some stuff with Gypsy, and then they broke the two of them up, which was complete bullshit.
Completely pointless.
Yeah.
The one good couple in the entire Arrowverse, and they write them off. To be honest, I think I'm a bit more susceptible to Iris. Because the thing is, I've actually really... And hear me out here. I've actually really grown to like Iris this season.
Oh,
and not due to the writing, and not due to the position that she took, but due to a lot of her character traits and due to the way that she was introduced. Because I feel like before this, I don't know what it was, but I never really connected with Iris that much in the first 2 seasons, and especially even though I liked her storyline, especially in season 1, but then in season 3 I was like, nah, can't be doing with that. But in season 4, I don't know what it is. I can't quite tell you why, but I just kind of really clicked with Iris this season. And while she shouldn't have been the leader of Team Flash because it was completely wasted and it was just a stupid decision to pander to audiences, I still just enjoyed what she was I just kind of enjoyed her presence. And maybe it was the fact she was married to Barry now. I don't know. Maybe it's because all that was kind of put to bed. I don't know. But I think Iris kind of really came into her own this season, and I kind of enjoyed that quite a fair bit.
No.
And I really do like Candice Patton a lot. So I think that this was a really, although, again, she shouldn't have been the leader of Team Flash. She shouldn't have been as prominent as she was. I really did quite enjoy Iris this season. I think she came into her own a fair bit.
God's sake.
Ralph
did me. I liked him as a character. Some of his comedy was pretty meh, but overall I quite liked him. I really liked Hartley Sawyer in the role. I know obviously you got to meet him, which I'm jealous of, but
lovely guy.
But yeah, I haven't really got so much to say. Just I did like him as a character. I liked the arc that he went on. I just really wasn't a fan of some of the comedy they gave him, but other than that, I liked him. That's really it, to be honest.
I was really excited about Ralph this season, just because when they said they were doing the elongated man, I was very, very excited. And I was not disappointed. I think that Hartley Sawyer was a really great casting choice. He's really good at playing basically an arsehole. He's really good at that kind of role. And to kind of see him embody that for this was really cool. Also, I really like his powers. And I think, to be fair, you know, Candice Patton did say this before the season started, but she was saying how the CGI team really, like, you know, focusing a lot on this one particular CGI character, meaning Ralph Dibny. And it did look really good a lot of the time.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed like some of the creative ways they used his powers, because with a power like that, there is a lot you can do with it. Like, you know, you see that in films like The Incredibles and stuff like that. And apparently The Incredibles 2 does even more stuff, which I'm really excited about. But I feel like Ralph was really well used. And yeah, sometimes his comedy was a bit off and sometimes he was a bit annoying. But I think that was also part of his character, and I enjoyed that. And I really like the fact that him and Barry, like, I really like the conflict between them at the start and how they obviously kind of went through that arc. Because Barry didn't really have a character arc this season. It was more of a character arc with Ralph. Like, they kind of had like a combined one.
Yeah.
Together. And I think that Ralph really was great. And especially like by the end of the season, like after he dies and then he comes back in the finale, it's really great to see him. And hopefully, similarly to Cecile, he'll get the opportunity to be a series regular next season, and he'll be the new psychic that Wally could never be.
True.
And I feel bad saying that, but it's just the way it is. Keenan Lonsdale was clearly like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not being treated like that anymore. So we sort of said how Caitlin didn't really have a story. I mean, Danielle Panabaker, who, again, I've met her, lovely person. And she kind of, they tried to give her a story, but they didn't take it anywhere. So they introduced Amulet Black, who was the incredible character by Katie Sackhoff, who, again, Katie Sackhoff is brilliant, she's wonderful. But this character was so annoying and made little to no sense in terms of just her relevance. Like, so I guess she was connected to DeVoe a little bit, which was kind of cool. When they kind of went through that prison storyline, but then they kind of just dropped that eventually. So I mean, it seems like they are really trying to give Caitlin a story next season. But I really don't trust the writers that they're actually going to do it this time. I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't either, to be honest. Just because of how little they've done with her this season, how much she's been on the sideline, and then whenever they've tried to give her this story, it's just been so just confusing as to what she's trying to do. Like, even with this Killer Frost storyline they tried to develop towards the end with, like, oh, she was there from the very beginning, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, because from what we've been inferred to before, and is that she got it in the particle accelerator. So I just I don't understand it. Like, I don't have faith in the writers to write her like as a good character. I just don't have it anymore. Yeah,
and it's a shame, because I think that Caitlin, she's never really had a story, really. No. And I really thought we were going to get it, especially like when the season first starts out and she's kind of working in the bar. I thought that was like quite interesting, and you know, kind of like the way they kind of did Killer Frost this season was quite interesting. But then again, it just never went anywhere, and she's never had like a arc. So hopefully they'll do it in season 5 with this thing about, you know, what kind of happened to Killer Frost when she was a kid and stuff. But I just don't trust the writers that'll actually follow through with it. I really don't. And then the fact that this was the thing to bring in Amulet Black, a character who was kind of, I mean, she's a cool comic book character as a member of the Rogues, but bringing her into the show wasn't the most well executed at all. What about Danny Trejo coming as Breacher?
I love Danny Trejo, but they really just used his character for more of a comedy purpose, to be honest. Like, he was only in 2 episodes the whole season, and he was more just like a comedy person, so I don't really have a lot to say for him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's in like 3 episodes, something like that. 2. Oh yeah, it's like What's he in? He's in
Episode
4
4 and episode
17.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Danny Trejo is great. He's an absolute legend, and he is quite funny in the role. But then again, he doesn't really go anywhere because he offers Cisco his job at the end after he decides he's going to retire, and then Cisco doesn't take it. So it's just like I actually was almost begging for Cisco to take it at a point because I was like, Carlos Valdez, go have your own show. You can take it, and go be with Gypsy on Earth 19. It'll be great. You don't need Barry. You can go have Earth 19 Accelerated Man. Go do that. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That'd be an awesome show. Set on Earth 19. Cisco's the main character. Gypsy's there. You've got Accelerated Man. You can have Breacher in there for the comedy.
Yeah.
Sorted. It'd be a great show. Even like a great animated series on the CW seed. I'd love to see that. Like maybe over like this in this time period right now, where like in between the seasons, have him go over to Earth 19 for a bit. It'd be awesome. But again, it didn't go anywhere. And then, like we mentioned earlier with Gypsy, the best couple in the Arrowverse, and they break them up for literally no reason.
I know, it's so stupid. Like
I love Gypsy. I think she's so cool.
yeah, I've not seen a single person who says they don't like them together. Like
No, they were great because they don't focus on it. It's not like West Allen or Olicity where they just cram it down your throat or like just show it all the time. It's like one of those little side stories. It's like Joe and Cecile. Like it works really well because they don't focus on it. So the fact that ended really annoyed me. Really annoyed me. Right, let's talk about DeVoe.
God.
I have incredibly mixed feelings on DeVoe.
Same.
I'll let you go ahead.
The first 9 episodes, I thought he was very interesting because he was actually a villain who tested the Flash intellectually, and I liked the fact that it was somebody who, although obviously was a villain, he was basically somebody who just wanted to try and latch on to life because obviously his body was like just slowly dying. So in a way, it was just him trying to save himself so he could live, and I liked that idea because it at least made you understand what he was trying to do. Obviously, you don't agree with his like morals and what he's doing, but you at least understand where he's coming from in the sense that he just wants to live. He doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to live in a body that is just completely inactive. So I really like that about him. And like the first 9 episodes, they got his character really right, and I think they added like enough intrigue and showed him as not enough of a threat with his intelligence, which I really liked because that was what they told us, like, oh, it's the fastest man alive versus the fastest mind alive. But like the problem I had with it was that right after episode 9, when he transfers his like consciousness or thoughts or brain or whatever into Dominic, that for me is where his character went downhill, because when they started doing this whole body swapping thing, it was just so stupid. And it just made it very hard for me to connect with him as a villain because he was just constantly having a new face like every 2 to 3 episodes, and it just got so boring. Because it's almost like you want to get attached to it, but you just know in a few episodes' time it's going to like change to someone else. So what is the point? And then when they eventually got it back to Neil Sandilands, which was like episode 18, so they wasted almost half of the season like making him go into a like body hopping phase. Like they bring him back, but then he's got all these stupid metahuman powers, and it doesn't really feel like the Flash is being challenged mentally. It just feels like he's facing a really overpowered typical villain of the week, and I didn't really get like a proper sense of Barry having to use his brain and think to overcome the Thinker. Like I didn't really get much of a sense of that, to be honest. And that's what I found the most disappointing. They kind of just pussied out of their original envision of what the Thinker was going to be, and then just turned him into just your average villain of the week. That for me is where I really stand on it. Like obviously Neil Sandilands I think was amazing, but then all of the other actors that they hired to portray him like during the middle of the season were just nowhere near as good. Like just nowhere near. So I just feel like DeVoe is a really mixed bag, because like I said, the first 9 episodes I really liked, the rest of it I didn't like him.
Yeah, I think that I'll just kind of echo what you said. I mean, Neil Sandilands was great, absolutely brilliant, and like when he came back, I think like we all cheered.
Yeah.
When Ralph kind of just like, he took over Ralph's body and then shapeshifted into DeVoe. Like we were all just like, "Way!" Like he's finally back, and it was like an instant like palate cleanser. Um, like I said, first 9 episodes, great. That was the DeVoe I wanted to see. Because when they kind of first said, "Oh, we're doing the Thinker," it was like, okay, the tagline of the season is kind of fastest man alive versus the fastest brain alive. And in the first 9 episodes, that's what we got, and I was like, that's really cool. Like episode 7, where Barry was stuck in the pocket dimension, really awesome stuff. And I think that I loved DeVoe, like the type of character he was when he was in the chair and hooked up to it and was just like all that kind of stuff. That was really cool, and the way he was able to get out of it and then portray himself as being kind of like a frail old man, like he did when he framed Barry for killing him, stuff like that. That really worked. But then, like as soon as he turned into Dominic and started body hopping between all these different metahumans, taking all their powers, DeVoe just lost all my interest, because no longer was he about being this, completely incredibly smart character who was going to challenge Barry on a mental level instead of a physical level. He just became a general physical threat and just became your average everyday metahuman who he had to fight. Now, granted, he was a lot more powerful than everyone else. In fact, he was probably the most powerful character in the Arrowverse at one point. I'm pretty sure they even say that. Because they even say, "Oh yeah, we can't just call Kara or Oliver." It's like he'd take them out. I mean, I would love to see a fight between him and Kara and Kal-El, just see how that goes down. But okay, see how he handles himself there. But by the end, when Neil came back, it was a lot better. But he was still, again, just the same kind of metahuman. I mean, Neil did the best he could, but it wasn't really the performance; it was the choice of the character. And then in the finale, in the Mindscape, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. But then it was such a wasted opportunity not to have him as he was for the entire season. And I think the whole body hopping thing was just a waste of time. And I can't tell if this was, I don't know, due to the writer's shake-up after Andrew Kreisberg left or was fired. Yeah. I mean, obviously that affected Supergirl obviously a lot more than it did The Flash, because he was a lot more directly involved with Supergirl than he was with The Flash. But I don't know, I can't tell if that was why, because the fact it's the mid-season I find very suspicious in that. So I don't know. DeVoe, like you say, very mixed bag. I say I liked him overall, mainly just because of Neil. But if it wasn't for Neil, I think it would have been a bit screwed.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm kind of sad he's gone now. I would have liked to have him live on as an AI. I think that would have been cool. But again, the season is full of missed opportunities.
Yeah, it's just missed opportunity left, right, and center.
Speaking of them, Trial of the Flash.
Good God. That was so disappointing. They could have done so much more with that than they did.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when they said they were doing Trial of the Flash, and I was like, okay, that's good. I'm happy about that. That's cool. I mean, it's going to be slightly different because it's not Eobard Thawne, but, okay. They did that, and I mean, like you say, I don't think we hated it as much as the time. No. It was only after episode 21 of Arrow.
Yeah, because they kind of just... That made you realise.
To go back, to look at that and then go to this, to go to Trial of the Flash, it just felt weak.
Yeah, it was just... I think it just highlighted just the shortcomings of it. And I think because we didn't have a similar episode to compare it to, you kind of just saw it as itself. And it was just like, oh... So you just watch it and you just kind of just take it all in, but you don't really think about it that much. But then when you had that episode to compare it to, I think when you just looked at the two together, it just showed the areas of which there were just those shortcomings, like the fact that it didn't feel as tense, or it didn't feel as even, oh, will Barry make it out of this or not? You didn't really get that sense. And just in general, I felt it was just so one-sided in terms of the evidence being against Barry, that I just found it very hard to actually be compelled during the whole thing or feel invested, because at the end of the day I kind of already knew what the outcome was going to be. The reason that episode 21 of Arrow was so good was because I legitimately didn't know what was going to happen. At points I felt like Oliver could have gone to jail, but at the end he didn't. And that was the testament to the writing, because it was able to do that. Here it was just plain and simple, oh, all the evidence is against Barry. He's basically got it all against him. He's probably not gonna evade prison like that. It's just, I don't know. I found that very hard to care about.
Yeah, what annoyed me is the fact that all this evidence that was going against Barry, and also this judge who was like incredibly one-sided, was kind of just like saying all this stuff about Barry that just isn't true. Like he was saying, like, I remember one line in particular where he says, "I've never seen a man with such low regard for human life," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's just not true. Like that's just everything. I mean, obviously they don't know that Barry's the Flash, obviously, but people know who Barry Allen is, and he works for the CCPD in the forensic Scientology, and he works basically for the police force. And you're saying he has no regard for human life. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And it just, again, it feels weak. Because in comparison to that Arrow episode, which had real hard-hitting scenes, had some great, like, the stakes were there. It was really intense. With this, I just kind of felt like it's just, I mean, even if Barry does go to jail at the end of this, he's going to get out.
Yeah.
Like, there was no kind of stakes there. And I just feel that's the biggest problem with that whole storyline. Although one thing I will give them credit for is the fact they actually sent him to prison was ballsy. I like that, and also the fact that they kept him in there for a good few episodes. Good. It was just a weird place to put it in the season as well because it was like directly in the middle. So like the fact he was in there for a few episodes kind of made one storyline a lot more interesting than the other, which is kind of an issue. And a good way to compare that would be like in Arrow season 1 when you have like the main storyline going on in Starling City and then you have the island and they're both equally as interesting. This was like the direct opposite of that.
Yeah.
I think that's it really.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Not really. I mean, this is kind of a season where I just don't really feel like I've got a lot to talk about just because I didn't really care about much of what was happening. For me, personally. No. Like, I would have to say this probably is the weakest season of The Flash.
Yeah. Should we do the ranking?
Yeah, let's do the ranking. It pretty much just goes in chronological order. So season 1 at the top. Season 1 at top. Season 2 second. Season 3 third. Season 4 Flash. I will say there is a massive divide between 2 and 3. I'm just going to make that clear. Because 3 is by no means a great season. I would say it's good to above average, but I would still say there were far more episodes that I enjoyed and far less episodes that I hated compared to season 4, which is why I put season 4 lower than it.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly the same. It's just 1 to 4 in order. 1 and 2, I think, are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then 3. See, this is what's funny is like there's like a massive divide in terms of people who enjoy season 3 more and people who enjoy season 4, and I'm still not quite sure where I fall on that scale.
Yeah, because the thing is that I think quality-wise, season 3 was probably better, but I think from maybe an enjoyment standpoint, I'm not entirely sure, just because I think I would probably have to rewatch both. But I think from what I remember from a quality standpoint, for me, how many episodes I enjoyed in season 3. Compared to season 4, and then how many episodes I hated in season 3 compared to episodes I hated in season 4. Like the only episode in season 3 that I truly hated was the finale. That was the only episode like I full on hated. And also the musical crossover. But like this year, you've already seen me list off those 10. Like that's 2 episodes compared to 10. It's pretty damn. It's clear to me which season I clearly preferred more. If I can name 10 episodes from this season that I didn't enjoy, and only 2 from season 3 that I didn't like, that I thought were bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good way to look at it, and this is something I like to talk about when I talk about a lot of films, is that I think season 3 was a lot more consistent, and I think season 3, probably quality-wise, was a lot better than season 4. However, I think season 3 is a lot more boring than season 4 was.
Yeah.
And sometimes being boring is worse than being straight up bad. So I'd say the Flash season 3 is a lot more boring, but the Flash season 4 was worse. So again, I still don't know which one I enjoyed more. Because looking back on it, I kind of feel like I had a bit more... I was definitely a lot more engaged in season 3, I think, than I was in season 4. Because with season 3, although I wasn't really the biggest fan of Savitar, I was still kind of waiting for that to pay off. Yeah. I mean, it never really did, but the point is I was still on that journey. Whereas with season 4, I was kind of... Like I said, I went into the finale just not caring. I was like, I do not care about this finale whatsoever. Whereas with the Flash season 3, while the season 4 finale is a lot better than the season 3 finale, I was a lot more interested and excited going into that just to see how they wrap up the Savitar thing. So yeah, I can't make a decision right now in terms of which season I like more out of them, but because like I said, I like them both, and I don't like them both for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult to sort of pinpoint.
Yeah, I'd say it's a similar thing with me, to be honest, as well. Just in terms of like where I stand with it.
Yeah. Well, I'd say that just about does it then. For the Flash season 4, overall, pretty weak season of the Flash.
Yeah, pretty weak, to be honest. Like, it's
Just not that many great elements to it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. I think I've mentioned this before, because I think the Flash season 4 was my most anticipated going into it. I think that the trailer I thought was great. I thought all the things we heard about it were great in terms of what they were going to do with Barry, in terms of the Thinker. I was really excited about all that. So for me, it's probably the most disappointing.
I don't know.
I mean, I can definitely say it's the worst. In terms of disappointing, I don't know, because I didn't really go into season 4 with that as high expectations as you did. For me, like, the most anticipated season for me was, for like the current shows at the start, was Arrow. Flash was kind of somewhere in the middle. So I don't know, in terms of like whether like my anticipation for it like affected my overall thought on it. I think definitely if I went into it with probably the same like hype for it as you did, I probably would have hated it more. But I think it's average. It's not bad, but I think it's average. I would say it's like something along the lines of maybe season 3 of Arrow, in that it's pretty average. Like, that's probably what like the best season for me to compare it to.
Yeah, it's for me personally, just really kind of just disappointing, really.
Yeah, just disappointing.
Right, let's kind of get away from this depressiveness. That's not a word, but we'll move on. So that's the show, really.
Yeah,
a lot of a shorter one this time, but there wasn't that much news, and
Supergirl was pretty.
Talk about Supergirl.
Supergirl, but it was that bad. We didn't even talk about the finale for the preview. But honestly, at this point, I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah, and also we'll get to it. We'll do it next week.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up all the Supergirl next week. So in terms of next week's episode, we'll have we'll do our review for the finale, and then we'll do our review for the entire season, just to kind of get it all done in one episode.
Yeah.
Just because it's easier that way.
And then after that, we're all screwed because we've got no news to cover.
Until Comic-Con. I mean, Comic-Con is what, July the 19th? So.
I think so.
Wow, it's not even June the 19th yet. Christ. Well, bear with us then. While we sort of scrounge for content. But, yeah, we're definitely obviously going to keep this going. Because this is the same position that me and Dan are both in anyway, because as YouTubers on this, because we have to look for content. I mean, you're a bit more varied than I am, so you've got
that's
more
why.
options there.
That's why at the moment, if anybody here is like subscribed to this, follows me on YouTube, you'll notice I've done a lot more gaming recently, because obviously the shows are over. I personally feel like I'm at that point now where I'm trying to like brainstorm videos for stuff, but I'm not enjoying it. So I'm like, at least I've got the ability to do games. Whereas with you, obviously, I know your audience is like more built on DC TV, so you're kind of a bit more limited as to what you can do.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of next week, like I say, we'll do Supergirl Bonanza.
Let's get over and done with one go.
And we'll put season 3 to bed.
Oh, thank God for that.
We never have to talk about it again.
Thank God about that.
So that'll be. We can all look forward to that. This is like when 50 Shades Freed came out. And everyone was so excited about it because it was finally over. So that's how I feel about Supergirl. It's such a shame because Supergirl was so good in the first 9 episodes for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and then they got rid of Kreisberg.
Yeah. And I'm not condemning his actions if he did it. I'm just saying, after he was fired, the season went downhill. Do the math. So, thank you all for listening to this episode of On a Line Podcast. We're actually getting closer to 10 episodes now. Which is,
damn! We'll have to have a party when we do.
I know, after the 10 episode anniversary.
Oh yeah.
So thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. Click that notification bell for that ad revenue. Oi oi. And